There she is. How are you?
I'm so happy to see you.
We're recording right now.
Excellent.
And I'm going to interview you, so be warned.
Okie dokie.
Okay, you're looking wonderful.
Thank you. That's years of doing TV makeup.
I was thinking of calling this Grumpod Redux, but I was thinking this morning maybe something a bit more to the point, like, is he still alive, or is she still breathing, kind of thing? Because at my age now, I'm sort of thinking I'm going through obituaries and things. I know I'm heading down a bad path right now,
No,
but
but
I'm
well, it's funny because I was thinking of suggesting a name, but then I thought like that would be really rude of me because it's you that's taping it.
please suggest a name.
But hold on just a second.
Oh, there are visual effects coming, are there?
No. Let's check this out. All right. No, fuck. Sorry. I swear at my AI on a regular basis.
Oh,
It's
you're using
terrible.
AI. Oh my. Okay.
No, it's okay. I use three different kinds of AI. All right, let's go. Here, give me I should have, you know what? I should have thought of a name before, but I just thought that would be, what's the word I'm looking for? Presumptuous of me.
Oh, no, not necessarily. We're just winging it here this morning, but never mind that. Okay. Let me
Hold on, I'm
start.
going to get it.
Oh, okay. Dee 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 dee. Girl from Ipanema goes walking. Dee 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 dee. It's like elevator music. Dee 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 dee. Anyway, in the meantime, I'll just
Yes.
start yammering about how
Okay,
nice
hold on. Here we
it is
come. Here we go.
outside.
Here
It's
we go.
30
Let's see if
degrees.
it's. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, here's one. It says still talking.
It's like my mother says, how come that button doesn't work anymore? Okay.
How about still talking? Do you like that?
I like that. Okay.
Okay,
That's
let's do
that's
that. Okay, we're
that's
ready.
that's analogous to still alive. I like that. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right. Oh, that's it. Oh, I thought there was something going to explode on the screen, but it's not. All right.
No, we're
Okay.
gonna be talking about exploding later on, but
Okay, let's start with you now. Akron, Ohio, born in
sure.
1926, as I recall. Is that right?
Actually, it was closer to when they made the Bayeux Tapestry. You know,
Okay.
just a little further back, just slightly after the Battle of Hastings.
Okay, you and I have known each other. I was thinking about that the other day for, my goodness gracious, 50 years.
I've been
Do,
alive that long?
do you realize that? It's been 50 years. And the first time I appeared on a television screen was with you at CJOH TV. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yes. I know that we worked at CFGO before at the Go 14.
Possibly, yes, but you were doing so much, and we'll go through your
Yes.
bio. That'll take about 4 hours.
Oh,
But
no, let's not.
uh, were you hosting a show at this is CGOH in Ottawa, right? Channel.
I was doing weather.
Okay, but
I was a weather specialist.
I was thinking about that the other day because it was the name of Norval Morrisseau. It came up in the news because somebody's been peddling fake Norval Morrisseau paintings. Norval was a Cree artist, I believe.
Yes.
And I was on the show with you to promote Bruce Coburn's latest album, the cover of which had been done by Norval Morrisseau. And I was holding up the album, and you were there
Right.
and asking me questions. And that was the very first time I was on TV.
That was one of my favorite songs from that album, Wondering Where the Lions Are.
Wondering, was that from that album?
Yes,
Perhaps
it
it was.
was.
Okay, so that's 50 years ago. That's
Oh my goodness.
color television was just coming in, as I recall.
My underpants
Wow.
are older than most people alive.
Oh
That's
my goodness.
spectacular.
Okay, we're there already. All right. So in those days, now you've done so much since I met you. Did I meet you there?
I
No.
think you met me. We first met at the Go 14 alongside the late great Randy Tiemann,
Right.
the late great Steve Madeley,
I, I'm
and
s- I'm I'm sorry. The late Steve Madeley?
well, I'm not sure. I
Oh,
hope.
okay. I was.
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. And of course, Chuck Phillips, who is still, I
Oh,
believe.
yes, I was. I spoke
Yes.
with Chuck about a year ago or so. He's doing very well.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Mistral is his name. Yes. Okay.
We're still here.
We're still. My God.
Over
Um,
here.
yes. So I was studying journalism at Carleton University in Ottawa, and you were doing just so many things. You were doing a one-woman show. You were doing radio. You were doing television. How did you get into the TV thing in the first place?
Well, I actually got into broadcasting in the Go 14 CFGO in Ottawa, which no longer exists. I remember I loved radio. I had a transistor radio. Google it for those of you who are under 20. That I got for Christmas. It was just this little radio with a little earpiece, and I loved it. I loved radio. I just thought radio was amazing because people were telling stories. So when I was about 15, I walked up to CFGO, which is just on the other side of the Queensway near the liquor store, the LCBO. And I remember just sort of going, I'd like to have a job, come back, I'd like to have a job. I just annoyed them into hiring me. And because I really wanted to do it.
Well, no,
And so
that's how I got into radio too back in the day. But yeah, please
give me
continue.
a job, give me a job.
Yep.
And basically they test you. These were the days of rip and read. For those of you, once again, who are, you'll have to Google that. But it was what was it called? The telefax, the teletype, a something, where the stuff used to come in, dee, 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 dee. So I had to change the ribbon and the paper, the big rolls of paper, and I got to clean the bathroom. I got to make coffee. And little by little, I was finally allowed to go on. And in fact, my first story was about roller skating, which was a big thing in the 70s. Roller skating, for those of you who are old enough to remember, was immortalized in the film Xanadu with Olivia Newton-John and the late, great Gene Kelly. And so my producer, who either was a genius or just had it in for me, suggested that I do my first radio interview on roller skates on the canal.
Okay, and you said, of course.
I said, of course, because that's what you do.
That's what you do. Yeah.
And I didn't hurt myself very badly, but it took me forever to edit. And those were in the days when it was reel to reel, and you had to take a razor blade, and you could tell first-time editors because we have Band-Aids all. The tape was nothing but edit tape. So that was it. And then, I ended up eventually going on the morning show. And you were there then, and Chuck was there, and Randy was there. And then I thought I would go to theater school. And so I got a job working at the Beacon Arms Hotel. I found out that the Moscow Circus was staying there. This was in 1977.
Oh, I remember.
So I thought it would be a cool thing to do to learn a little bit of Russian and become helpful. And by the end of the week, I left with them.
You with the Moscow Circus?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
It seemed like a good thing to. Well, it was just because all I knew about Russia were from James Bond films and National Geographic.
And off you went.
And off I went. And it was an amazing experience. I learned that the Soviet Union, as it was called at the time, was not just one big place, but and learned all other things about the KGB, but learned about all of the different regions and made all sorts of friends. And then when I came back, and this was the reboot of my radio career, CBC, which you remember in Ottawa, not the TV studios on Lanark, but the one in the Chateau Laurier was the radio. And I was interviewed by some nice producer on the weekends, and she said, well, how'd you like to come and work with us and be an editor? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I haven't done it for a couple of years. And she said, well, you ran away with a circus, so why are you
nervous?
That's
right. Yeah. Why hesitate now? Yeah.
Why hesitate now? And that was the beginning of my career. And there were a lot of bumps and starts in between. But my start in Montreal was when I came here, I decided finally I was going to go to theater school. So I signed up for Concordia. Everybody was auditioning as Shakespeare. I auditioned as a moth that got stuck in a blender.
Okay, I can see it. I can see you performing that. Yes, and they said, put her on the roster. Okay.
It's good to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So I started theater school, but I'd already worked in broadcasting, and I'd already worked. I was a member of the National Arts Center. Young Company was young, and so those were the days when universities didn't have the most updated equipment. And I had some really good teachers, but there were other teachers I felt, because I was older, everybody was 18, I was 25. And I felt like a lot of this stuff was slightly, I didn't agree with all of it. And I lasted about a year and a half. And then I started applying for jobs in radio. And that's where Rob Brain picked me up for show.
Yep. And then went on, and then there was global, and there was all kinds of things.
The Weather Network,
right.
and
yeah.
CTV, yeah. And and then, and you know this too, because when you work in broadcasting in Montreal back in the day, when they were shooting a lot of films here. So if they wanted to hire a reporter, they would hire us, right?
Mm-hmm,
I mean, you must have done some films.
Yeah,
right?
I did a few. Yeah.
What you do?
Well, no, the last one, the one I did that was rebroadcast was one for Giles Walker, another one who's left us now. Giles Walker was a director producer with the NFB, I think, at the time, and it was what was the one? It was called The Last Straw.
Okay.
And it was about the last fertile man alive on Earth. And the story was rather strange. George Springate played,
yes,
I think, the chief of police or something in this thing. And Giles Walker, God bless him, was a fan of mine back in the CBC days. And just picked up the phone one day and said, I need you to do some stuff. So he came to CBC Newswatch to shoot the sequences of me reading these things about the last fertile man alive. And for some reason, this movie had legs. They played it on cable over and over and over and over again. And I remember being in a hotel room, and the movie was on. I was on the screen, and not the chambermaid, but the person came in to clean the room, and she started looking at the screen and looking at me, wondering what the hell was going on. So for some reason, this thing was played on a loop forever. But no, you were in some Hollywood movies, though, right? Some big name films.
Well, as a reporter, I think probably the one that I liked the most was The Peacekeeper, with Dolph Lundgren, a talk show host whose name evades me, and Roy Scheider playing the president.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a reporter. There's a shocker. There was also a film about, it was about the mafia. The name escapes me, but this was fun because I had 5 days on it. So I actually got one of those trailers with a star on the door.
Oh, my. Okay.
It was just like, I was besides myself. And Armand Asante, an actor who has not been with us for a while, he was a big star then, though. And so I remember being in the dressing room with him, and I was so nervous. And I remember just sort of sitting there staring straight ahead. And he said, you can talk to me. He said, I'm not one of those, like, don't look at me in the eyes. And he was very sweet. So that was very, very exciting.
Weren't you in the one with Ben Affleck where there's a bomb or something going off somewhere?
Well, that one I was actually, I was an extra wrangler.
Okay.
The Sum of All Fears.
Mm-hmm. Sum of All Fears, that's right.
Yeah, Sum of All Fears. Yeah. And Ben Affleck played the principal role. And it was also Morgan Freeman.
Right. Okay.
Was a Secret Service agent. And James Cromwell starred, I believe, as the president. And I was lucky because, there was the first unit and the second unit. And the second unit was, the line producer was a good friend of mine, Kathy Wolf, who is still producing.
Yes, we know Kathy. Yes.
I was doing radio at that time. I can't remember who I was with then. Maybe it was 990 Hits or Oldies 990. Anyway, she said, "Oh, come in. I want to introduce you to the producers for the second unit." And I've told them all sorts of great things about you, and I'm like, "Oh God." They said, well, we would like you to be our extra wrangler because it's going to be at the Olympic Stadium. and we can't afford to fill it up, but we're going to get like 10,000 extras. And we're gonna, the rest are all gonna be like cardboard, and the rest of it'll be, the early stages of CGI. So I actually said, I don't think I can do this. And Kathy convinced them that I would be great at it. And I'm really glad she did, because I spent an entire week running around the stadium with one of those Britney Spears mics, or I'm sorry, I date myself, but those little mics that they wear, around. Mm-hmm. And I had the time of my life, because I had 10,000 people following me, because you're supposed to show them. They had another guy, actually a guy from the States, that was doing it, but they let him go on the second day because he couldn't speak French, and most of our extras were French. And so I had a great time. I would come in, my style. I'm sort of, I think that my spirit animal is probably a Labrador puppy, because I'm.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always, this is probably not very discreet, but I've always described you as 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag, essentially. But yeah, there's a lot of energy there for sure. Still at this stage, I want to get to that in a minute. But anyway, so yeah, but it would take a long time to go through the whole bio and all the stuff you've done. And
yes.
There's this story about that you told a few years ago about was it dubbing sexually explicit films?
Well, it was interesting, because it was actually, these were the days when adult films did not show everything. I mean, basically the scripts were all the same. It was either
ding ding pizza delivery or plumber or whatever it is,
or working at a candy store, and so basically the gentleman, the hunk of burning love would show up, kind of Channing Tatum like, and of course there would be the very attractive woman, who was behind the counter or bending over the sink or whatever. And so the story was that the guy was there to fix something, and they would sit on a sofa or something, and you got to see the upper part. But I don't know if you ever saw that. I don't know what Monty Python film it was in, but they alluded to people having sexual relations by having a tower fall down or exploding.
Oh yes, of course, and like of course the tower backwards going back up.
Sky.
Yes. Okay.
So anyway, basically, there would be a fair amount of petting involved. Once again, for those of you born after Queen Victoria, that is also known as getting to the first base, as a third base being.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Just explaining.
What's her name again? Dr.
And so basically, these were films where and they were short films. And I think, and I believe it was dubbing, because I think they were coming from an Eastern European country.
And was this done in Montreal? No.
It was done in Montreal.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I will not embarrass other participants, but I believe it was actually a union job. But
good.
It was we'd go, there was a studio on Laurier, and so we would go in and, we'd read the dialogue. And the thing about this is...
Hi, Dimitri. Yeah.
My drain is blocked. I need you to use one of those. What do they call them? A snake? What a great word.
Okay, so we're off again.
My
fault. I brought it up. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, everybody gets the picture.
But just to get it's simply an example of one of the myriad things that you've done. I mean, you've done a one-woman show. You've been a performer. You're a writer. You're a producer. You've been a director. You've done television, radio. You've been in the circus. Who can put that on their CV today? I have been in the circus. Thank you very much. You're hired. But
it was a door opener.
Next question is, where are you now? How are you doing now?
Well, had a little bit of a slowdown last year. Last year, like a lot of the TV stations, I had the great pleasure after Bell decided, this would have been in 2019, I think, to just do away with all the sports they have sports still, but it's TSN. But basically, radio shows had weather people and sports people. But anyway, they sort of cut everything back. So I was let go in 2019. And I honestly thought, because I think I'm a little past my due date. You know, there is a fair amount of ageism in our business. But I was really fortunate. I called up Karen McDonald, who was over at Global. Now, I worked at Global back, I think, in the 2000s, you know, and I called her up, and it was beginning of COVID, and she was great. So I went over to work at Global, and that lasted until last year, 2024. But by then, a lot of the broadcast jobs had gone away of the dodo. So I started doing dubbing, like you've done, and voiceover work and stuff like that. But then last summer, I was walking home one night. I think it was at the end of August, on a sidewalk. It was pretty empty, vacation time, and I heard a badragosh. So I turned just in time to be hit by a cyclist. That kind of plonked me off the sidewalk onto the side of my head. And I remember, because I remember that sound. I'll never forget that sound. And I remember like looking, and it was like a Batman film, you know, where everything's sort of on an angle. And I just remember seeing the guy get up, look at me, and just take off. So, and there was no one around. Friday night. So I got up, I walked home, and I thought, geez, I was sweating a lot. And I got home and looked in the mirror. And do you ever see the movie Carrie?
I probably did.
Stephen King horror film covered in blood. That was me. I got home and I looked at her, and so I quickly I threw a towel on the floor, and I sort of stripped down, threw everything in the washing machine, and then I had a couple of these like butterfly Band-Aids. But it took me till Monday to go to the hospital, because going to emergency on a long weekend is really not. Anyway, long story short, I'm getting over a traumatic brain injury.
Oh, my.
It took about 1.5 years to get into a treatment center, because you got to go through the corn maze. That is our medical system. But I'm thrilled a bit. Shout out to the good folks at the Lindsay DeGenkova Brain Trauma Rehabilitation Center. Concussions are what they call an invisible wound, because you can't really see it, right?
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's like son of a biscuit. You know, you get dizzy, there's vision problems. I was really sensitive to light and sound for a long time. Hard to work on a computer. But I am, thanks to this great team, am recovering. And recently took a dubbing workshop with the wonderful Richard M. Dumont, an actor workshop, and I'm looking forward to getting into voice work again, because that's my favoriteest thing.
Hoy. Okay. AI is creeping into that business now too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But I know our union's working very hard. But I mean, that's not the only thing, because you have to. I also I work a lot volunteering.
Yes.
And this year I organized a fundraiser along with the Canadian Ukrainian Congress Provincial Council of Quebec. Oh my God, I got it out in one shot. And the Licencié, which is an organization that helps veterans at risk. You know, gentlemen who come back from Afghanistan and Rwanda and the Balkans. We always think of veterans as being people from World War II. They're not. But the issue is that they suffer from brain trauma, a lot of them, and PTSD, as do the victims of war. So I organized a fundraiser this year, which was really amazing. And I've done about 8 fundraisers this year.
8 so far this year. Wow, good for you.
Well, you can't complain unless you are preparing to do stuff. Speaking of complaining, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What do you think of our upcoming elections?
Quebec or
Montreal?
Montreal. Oh,
Yes, sir.
I don't live on the island anymore. Can't say I miss it. I don't know. I'm sort of removed somewhat from that. I'm observing it as an observer, but have you cast your ballot already here? Have you got an idea as to whom you'd like to see? Montreal, I mean, I don't want to go off on a tirade here, but when I lived on the island, it was
Please.
What I called at the time le petit village crotté des frères Tremblay at the time is what it was. And it was pretty awful. And I don't know that it has improved very much in terms of cleanliness and all the rest of it. People complain about the construction and the orange cones. Okay, that's unfortunately a fact of life in this country around here. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Valérie Plante, although I'm sure she's a good person at heart. I don't know that very much has changed. So I don't know. I'm not being very helpful here. I'm sorry.
Well, I think my issue is that I find I have an opinion piece coming up in the Suburban the next week.
Oh, okay. So you're in it. Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, and for me, I think the problem is that after the Tremblay administration, which wasn't very successful, and there was a lot of alleged corruption. This is for the lawyers who are watching. And then after Denis Coderre and I actually really like the man. I've met him a bunch of times, but there were a lot of issues with the e-race and how much money problems there. And then now with the bicycle paths, and for me that's a huge issue. Because I think it's given cyclists, not all cyclists, but carte blanche. Very few cyclists actually stay on the bicycle paths.
Okay.
When I went to the hospital, when I went to the optometrist because I had cracked my occipital bone during the little accident I had, the girl who saw me at reception at the SHUM at the ophthalmology clinic. Is that right, ophthalmologist?
Yes, sounds, yep. Mm-hmm.
She said, "Oh gosh, my dad got hit the week before, and my sister got hit. It's kind of like the Wild West out there." And one of the things I don't think we need that many bike paths. You and I grew up without bike paths, and one of the things I liked up because we both lived in Ottawa growing up is when you were in grade school, you had to take a test with the police, right? You had to learn to do the signals, and then you got a license, and you renewed it every year. I think we should do that. If I had a nickel for every time I saw a cyclist run a red light or just not pay attention.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah, but
I never heard of you.
You're getting into Doug Ford territory now, aren't you?
Yeah, but here's what I think. Last election, I think it's either 32.38 or maybe I think it's 32.38 voted in the last election. But the issue I have is not only with the politicians, because I've tried to do the research from my area, but 6 weeks is not a lot of time to get to know these people that are running. And I'm a little bit cynical. I think that the problem is that we get the government we deserve. Now, you can say, I don't vote because I don't have the time. I don't vote because I don't believe in the system.
Well, I'm with you on that. Yep.
Yeah, I think that we bear the brunt of the responsibility. And what people forget is you're not voting for a leader, you're voting for an employee, right? Because taxpayers, employer, politicians, employee. But you just can't go in there and, with your vote.
Is that essentially what your opinion piece says?
Yes, it does. It says you have to be involved. You have to hold their feet to the fire. Okay. And you actually have to know who you're voting for and then keep on them. Don't just let them get away with the stuff. Yep. People spend more time. People say they don't have time, but people binge more. I can't say, what was it? The Tiger series? But people binge watch TV. So I think that all the time that you check your Instagram or your Facebook or whatever, you should learn about your local politicians. And then when something goes bad, complain. I do. I'm sure I'm on a list at Rosemount City Hall.
I'm sure too, but that's fine. I'm like that too. Too. And of course, I've witnessed some of the behavior that you describe when it comes to cyclists. And I recall attempting to do some cycling in Montreal many years ago. And you've got the little family with the two kids and they're puttering along the canal. And then you've got the accountants with their $80 bike shorts and their things flying by at 120 kilometers an hour with their $3,000 bikes. And same thing applies to motorcyclists and to others too that we see. So anyway, I wish you luck. You ever thought of running for office?
Well, I actually, you know, what's funny? I didn't think about it until I saw a lot of people that I know running who have little or no experience. Now, I think if you have the experience in volunteering, like I'm going to just give an example out there, but Mary Jarros, who's with Park X, okay, when I used to live in Park X, she was running the Park X um, youth PAYO Park Extension Youth Organization. She did that for a good 15 years before she ran for office. But she is out there all the time. And I think that you should look at the background, but sometimes people just run it. And I know this is going to sound really cynical and I'll probably be pilloried for it, but I think I look at some of the people running and I look at their resumes and I say, well, you wanted regular paycheck, which I understand. It's hard to find a job. You want the benefits and then you want the pension. But from what I've seen, the few times I've actually watched, it's not called Question Period, but when you watch City Hall, you know, and the stuff going on, it's about as much fun as watching Question Period. I mean, basically, it's a bunch of grade threes going, you did, no, well, you did, no,
Yeah.
you did. They're not
Okay.
solving problems, they're blaming each other.
But would you want to do that job in this day and age of social media and criticism that is nonstop and affects your
I,
family life and your social life and your.
I live alone. It's just me and my houseplant.
Okay. Well, let's. Where will this piece be published?
In the suburban, in this upcoming
Oh,
week.
okay. When do we see that? In this coming week or something? We're
This coming
recording.
week, I'm not sure. But I decided I wanted to write about it. And when you ask about you as a newscaster, I'm sure people would write you. But we were talking recently about a great TV series, Aaron Sorkin, The Newsroom. And it was very prescient about where we were headed. The series, I don't know, it's maybe what, 10 years ago now? I'm
Hmm.
not really
I think
quite
so.
sure.
Hmm.
I blame everything on concussion brain. I can't remember.
With Jeff.
It's convenient. But there's this great
Jeff
line
Daniels.
where the lead anchor does news the way it's supposed to be done, and his boss, played by the great Sam Waterston, you know, tells him this is the way it's supposed to be done, and I think our anchor says, yeah, but I'm scared, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm too scared to be afraid of dumb people. And I believe that people who spend all their time on the internet insulting people, and it's just like you're just showing that you're insecure and that you're a bully and you don't have any thoughts of your own. And like it's such a childish and narcissistic thing to do. To think that your opinion is that valuable. It could be if you were talking about good things and thoughtful things and results oriented criticisms, you know. But when I was working on Global, I did a show at the Holocaust Museum, the old one, not the new one that's going up. And when I got back to work, I had an email from someone who was not happy about that. And I was surprised, but not surprised. But I just thought, like, I haven't got time. I just, if you spend all your time worrying about what people think about you, Yvan, you're not going to get anything done, and you're going to live in
No.
fear.
Yep.
And living in fear is how politicians run now. Let's just make everybody afraid. Ooh, I can't say
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Well, we will read the op-ed piece, and my goodness, it sounds like you're already running for the next election.
Oh, I don't think so. I like what I do. I like working with the organizations that I do. I think I can get more done. Of course, ask me. It would be good to have a full-time job, and it would be nice to get a politician's pension. But I think there's so much more to that, you know. And as I said, I'm not worried about it. My family, the little family that I do have, lives out of town, and I live alone. By the way, I was thinking something the other day, and I don't know if you think about this, but I was just thinking after being alone since my divorce way back when, that I'm not sure if I could live with anybody anymore, because when you live alone for a long time, you develop habits. And you know, I don't want to be rude, but, you know, I find that being alone, I swear a lot, and I have to be very careful. I was prepared today to come up with sort of replacements like, oh, what's that? I scared Dave from CJAD once because someone had taught me this great phrase. It was son of a biscuit. That's cute. So I'm learning now to come up with politically correct or shut the front door or my personal phrase because Jesus slices, you know?
Well, if you're going to be mayor, you're going to have to write those down.
Oh, I'm getting a collection. But I think that, yeah, when you live alone for a long time, you forget about things, you know? And I think I'm also OCD, so I don't know if anybody would want to live with me because I'm forever straightening pictures and mats and stuff like
Well,
that.
that's fine too. That's okay. Well, we're not going to forget about you, my dear.
But let me ask you
Yep.
about you because I need to know about you and what you've been doing.
Oh,
I know you are a consultant. I see you on LinkedIn.
yeah, yep. Still,
And,
still puttering along. Still working here and there. It's again, as we age, we realize that the doors begin to close, and it's not necessarily because of anything necessarily sinister. That's just the way things are. So things are slowing down somewhat. But no, I'm just, I have a step grandson who's about 4.5 now, and it's been an experience for me to watch. I don't have any children of my own, so it's been quite the experience to watch him grow up and to have him around. And he calls me grandpapa, which is an interesting phenomenon for me. No,
he
and I'm
calls
just
what?
grandpapa.
Grandpapa. Oh,
Yes, and no, how is it? I was describing it to someone the other day. My fucks given tank is empty pretty well. We're
nice.
running on fumes now, so I look out for my family. I look out for those who would look out for me. I look out for those that I respect. And as just to get back to what you were saying about the day and age we're living in now, you just shut the rest out, and then you do what you can to improve and to abet the good things around you, and that's what I'm trying to do day to day. So that's it right now. But I was very pleased to hear from you a couple of weeks ago, and I was going to reach out to you anyway. But I'm very pleased that you're doing better, and that one step every day. That's all we can do, right?
Well, as you can tell, it's going to take a lot more than a concussion to slow me down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm very pleased to see that and to hear that because when you mentioned that in your text about the challenges you'd been experiencing due to that, I thought, oh my goodness. But from what I see and hear, that energy is still there, and I look forward to seeing and hearing from you again. And we'll have to do this again sometime soon.
Oh, please, please, please. And it's so great to see you too. And I'm thrilled to bits that after 50 odd years, and they have been truly odd sometimes, that, that we're both alive and kicking, honey.
Talk to you again soon.